Before we get into this episode, a quick thank you to the brands that make Master Integrator possible. This episode is brought to you by ADI Global, formerly Snap One, your one-stop partner for professional integration. ADI brings together powerhouse brands like Control4, Arachnus, Binary and Strong, along with a carefully curated range of distributed products, all under one roof. And they back it up with genuine integrator-first support from system design through to installation and beyond. They're focused on helping you deliver smarter, more reliable projects, because when you win, they win. If you want to learn more, give the team a call on 1-800-990-548. We're also supported by Sonos, the benchmark in architectural audio. This episode is brought to you by Blaze by Sonos. Blaze is a high-efficiency amplification platform built for the demands of modern residential and commercial installs. Onboard DSP, flexible connectivity, and the kind of output that lets you deliver a genuinely great audio experience without overcomplicating the rack. If you want precision and scalability in an amp solution that actually integrates cleanly, Blaze is worth a serious look. Sonos is available exclusively in Australia through Amber Technology. Now, if you're looking for serious design firepower behind your next project, let me introduce you to Colosseum. Colosseum is a white label design and documentation partner built specifically for integrators, specializing in cinema and media room design, lighting control, and automation engineering. And their new Spark program is a big deal. If your vendor is Spark enabled, you can unlock Colosseum designed cinemas at nearly half the usual cost. Lower upfront investment, immersive 3D walkthroughs, faster sales conversations. Colosseum really is the design and documentation wingman you didn't know you needed. Hello and welcome to Master Integrator, the podcast that takes you inside the smart home technology integration industry. I'm your host, Paul Skelton. Now, if you're a regular listener, you'll know the usual format of these episodes. One guest, one topic, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour of conversation. And we've had some really fascinating conversations lately. But today we're going to do something a bit different. Today's episode is a preview of the upcoming ADI Expo and Training Tour for Australia and New Zealand. And if you haven't already heard about the event, I want you to stop what you're doing and pay attention because it's going to be massive. ADI Global is bringing their Expo and Training Tour back to our region for the second year running. And this year they're hitting 6 cities. We're talking Adelaide in May, then Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and wrapping up in Auckland in late July. 2 full days in each city with live demos, hands-on training, exhibitor stands, the lot. Expo entry is free, and the training sessions, over 24 per city, are capped at 15 people a class. So it's genuinely hands-on, not just a bunch of people standing in a room looking at a screen. Links are in the show notes. Now, what I've done ahead of the tour is get a bunch of the exhibitors on the mic. And we've structured this episode into a series of short conversations, 5 to 10 minutes each, with each one telling you exactly what they're bringing to their stand and why you should make the point of stopping by. You're going to hear from Control4, Sonos, LEA Professional, Yeelight Pro, SurgeX, Chowmain Software, Thor Technologies, and Dendo Systems. Across the board, automation, networking, audio, lighting, surveillance, power management. There's something here for pretty much every integrator, regardless of what floats your boat. And I'll be at the Expo myself, which I'll speak about a little bit more at the end of the episode. Right now, let's get into it. This is Master Integrator. Here's everybody. Up first, we're going to be crossing over to, let's call him the bigwig for ADI in Australia and Asia Pacific. Yeah, see, otherwise I have to say Vice President and General Manager for Asia Pacific of ADI.
Adam works fine.
It's long.
Mate. Adam works fine. That works for me.
Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Great to be here.
I would imagine that most people watching this are familiar with you, but in case there's someone new to the industry or new to the show and haven't met you before, give us a little bit of a background about where you come from, how you started in the industry, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. Long story, but I'll make it really brief. But I've been in the industry for about 30 odd years. I originally got into this industry whilst writing some software for an AV company. So I got a bit of a background in IT and networking and databases and things. And anyway, whilst I was working in this business, I fell in love with audio and visual. Always had a bit of a passion for it. And fortunately, during that time, everything started to converge. So networking, audio, visual, automation. So I found myself in a place where I was happy. And 30 odd years later, I'm here today doing what I do at ADI Global and basically looking after the Asia Pacific region, based in the head office is based in Melbourne. And we've got national presence across Australia and New Zealand and lots of relationships through Asia Pacific itself, direct and through distribution. So
30 years is a very long time. I think 20 years is a long time, and that's where I'm at this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, the industry has changed significantly
Yeah.
in that period of time, and ADI itself has obviously changed as well in Australia. So what is it today? And I guess, how have the changes, improved what you've been able to do within the Asia Pacific region?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously most people on this podcast, I guess, be familiar with probably our flagship brand, which is how we came into this country, which was Control 4. So there's been a few mergers and acquisitions along the way. And today we are ADI Global Distribution. We're a manufacturer and distributor in this channel, in this space. And coincidentally, ADI Global is the largest low voltage security and fire distributor in the world. They're a global business everywhere except Asia Pacific. So that's a great opportunity for our customers and obviously the market in general. You know, I think where we're at with everything and as a business, ADI and Asia Pacific, it's sort of a newer market for the business. Obviously, having a great base of operations that we have has helped going to build out that future, which we're looking forward to. There's been some, good investment in the channel as well. So we're actually opening up a new education and training center and specification center, which there's a few things around on LinkedIn at the moment, but we'll be making a bit more of an announcement on that shortly. And then, ultimately just investing more and getting out into the market, hence the Roadshow events that I think we're going to be talking about today. So overall, I think it's great for the industry, great for our existing customers, great for new customers that want to work with us. Pride ourselves on everything that has brought us to where we are today, which is, customer service support, technical support, stock availability, stability, pricing stability in particular. I mean, those are hot topics at the moment as well. So they're all the things that I think we're able to do at a scale, which helps the channel overall.
So you're right. We're definitely going to be talking about the Roadshow, because that is a massive undertaking. I know that it's difficult enough. Well, he's got to. It's his job to tell you that.
Yeah. Well, he's good at telling me. Let's put it that way.
Before we do talk about the Roadshow, what I want to talk about, obviously you mentioned there has been a lot of growth within the ADI global brand in Australia, and you have a lot of brands underneath that parent company. So I guess, how important has it been for you to find brands, not just ones you own, but also distribution partners that actually complement what you're doing? And then I guess, how do you explain that to your dealers about really you can kind of get anything under the ADI brand?
Yeah, well, not yet. Not anything, not yet. Obviously still young at what we do, and we have some systems complications that, we have to do things at a pace that's responsible for the business, but also our customers. But look, I think the first thing to note and to mention is that we are the same as what we were before the acquisition. So, our exclusive brand offering is, by far and foremost what we drive into the marketplace. As we worked with other manufacturers, I think we're in a fortunate position, and myself and many of my team members we've been on both sides of the fence. We've been distributors in the past. We've also been a manufacturer. I have distribution partners myself in Asia Pacific. So, the things that I certainly hold dear when we look at who we work with is, open and transparent communication, management of expectations, alignment, complementary. In some cases, it could be even conflicting to what we do in our exclusive brands. But it's all about how do we serve our customers best, and how do we work with manufacturers that share that same vision, to help drive the market, support the market. As I said, in every aspect, I think even integrators, the biggest thing we all need to do is manage expectations. And, through transparency and openness and good communication, I think that helps. And so that's sort of the foundational bits, if that makes a bit of sense. I think from the knowledge and experience of where we've come from, what we're trying to achieve and how we support customers, they're the predominant things that help drive who we work with.
And have you been seeing much growth in the Australian market specifically?
Yeah, so it's been a very good business for us. We're seeing stability and some growth, I guess, which is a good thing. Obviously, it helps us as a business understand when we need to work and invest, for the future as well. But it's certainly been a very good thing. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on is our technical support, which is nearly 7 days a week, 365. Some of the things that we've been noticing because of the great engagement with our customers that, we've literally just about to recruit another support technician. So that'll take us to 8, I think, spread across New Zealand all the way to WA. So that certainly helps us domestically. And then from there, we run around the world. So that calls a divert to the UK or the US just to make sure that our customers have somebody to talk to in the event they need our help.
Yeah, and that is something that I always say to suppliers in the market. If you don't have local tech support, you're going to lose so many integrators and dealers because it's needed. I mean, we're dealing with technology. They need support.
Yeah, look, it's, great products are one part of it for sure. We all have great products and good products and some other products that need a bit more help. But the thing that really helps is having somebody to talk to either help design or to help support in the event of a challenge. That's again what we sort of pride ourselves on. So
let's talk about the upcoming Roadshow. By the time this comes out, we're obviously talking about a month away currently, but when this comes out, it'll be just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What can people expect if they turn up in the different states? Is it going to be the same in every state? I mean, what should they expect to see?
Yeah, look, largely we're replicating what we're doing in each city. We did a bit of a pilot of this last year. We did our first sort of national, or semi-national roadshow, I guess. And it certainly reaffirmed a bit of what we believed. And then it gave us some direction of what we needed to do better. So, I was mentioning before, we have some challenges in terms of, systems and processes. So, example, our customers transact with us through an e-commerce platform, largely. That e-commerce platform needs some work. It was certainly designed for a much smaller portfolio offering. So as we're adding more and more products, sometimes it's not easy to find what you're looking for. We're acutely aware of that. We've got some things in the background working on it. But what the Roadshow affirmed to us last year was that many customers didn't actually know what we had available. And whether it was our own products or products that we distribute, or they knew a little bit. And so what we're basically doing this year is enhance that a little bit further, a broader offering, more cities that we're going to be dropping into. But we're also working on something that I'm very passionate about, and the whole team is, which is education. Having a good product is only, as I said before, one small part of the equation. Education, technical training, understanding what they do, how to use those products. Because ultimately, we have our overarching control platform, but that's one part of that pie. All the other subsystems that need to complement and support to bring all that together to create a great experience, a long-term investment for a homeowner or a business, understanding and helping our customers understand what are the right products to use when and where, and whether they're products that we sell and distribute or whether they're things that they should be getting elsewhere, so as long as they're fit for purpose. So it's a bit of a combination in terms of, traditional roadshow table settings and things like that, product availability, pick up, touch, look, see. But there's about 24 different courses we're running over the 2 days in each city. So, education's a very big part of it. And again, hence why we're doing the new education center as well.
And that itself, I mean, obviously you're talking to someone here from our CEDIA hat. It's all about education, same with the apprenticeship program and things like that. So I think it's one of the, I guess, the bugbears that I hear from integrators out there, and that is obviously when you're dealing with education, it's very hard sometimes to travel around to every single city that you can possibly think of. So I think that's quite a strong proposition that you're putting out there, that you are going to some of the areas that might not get access to the education. I mean, Adelaide, Perth, for example, they often get overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a
Important
strong idea.
markets for us, by the way, both are. So it's we definitely want to support them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think just even going there to start with, I think shows great support for those markets, and then being able to offer education again, it really does kind of cement your role in the market with them.
Yeah, and you're
100%.
right. So I think the education, there's two parts to the education. And, the roadshow is, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned it's our products and our distributed products as well. So we'll have representation from some of those manufacturers. But we also know that education, and you all know, a one-time wonder doesn't really help. So one of the other aspects that we're really working on in the new education centre is a in-person and virtual education portion of the business as well, where we can actually continue education in the products and platforms and systems. For the people that are in the city of the new education centre, but then we're also looking to live stream that around as well, just to continue that education journey as well. Those would like to participate, which we hope is a lot.
So let's talk about some of what's actually going to be on show then. So obviously, education's a great draw, but people also do like to see products, especially new and shiny things. We're an industry of black boxes, and yet they always seem new and shiny.
Yep.
So let's start with ADI itself.
Yeah.
So what will ADI actually be showing at the Roadshow for people to touch and feel?
Also, our exclusive brands will probably headline most of those things. So it'd be, our control platform, Control 4, our networking lineup, Arachnus. We've got some, new Wi-Fi 7 products being released into the market, and some new deployment tools for overseas to make that a little faster and easier. So overseas is our remote management, monitoring and deployment platform. We've got some new gear we're showing from the Luma Surveillance offering as well. And typically our binary VoIP, media distribution, which distributes audio and video across the IP network. Sunrise, it's been a new addition, which we launched last year. Just trying to build that brand awareness out there as well. There's definitely a need for outdoor entertainment in this country. So that's another big part of it. And there's obviously others, Triad, Episode, Strong, Binary, Wirepath. I mean, there's quite a bit there as well. So many of the things customers are familiar with, but I'm sure there'll be things that they're not familiar with and could value from. With any luck, we'll be showing some new Control 4 product, which has been hotly anticipated into the market. So hopefully we can show that at the Roadshow. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. So that's good to see. And then obviously we have our manufacturer partners or brands that we represent. So in that area there, LEA Professional. So basically IP and digital amplification. They can go from low impedance to 100-volt line, etc. Great for, bars, restaurants, cafes, sporting venues, etc. Lighting's a very big part of the business. We recently launched Lux lighting, so there'll be a couple more new items we'll be showing from the Lux range, which has been a great start for us and for our customers. And to complement that further, we've got a great relationship with Yeelight and SmartLicht, which is a lighting fixture manufacturer. The SmartLicht offering is basically, it is a DALI based lighting solution or light fittings. So every light that we do is circadian or CCT compliant and fully DT8 compliant as well. For those that don't know, healthy lighting, circadian lighting, it's exactly that. It helps the entire environment, the people in the home, aged care, bars, venues, etc. But also, for the architects and designers, it actually helps their beautiful finishes look better. Light temperature on products makes a big difference. So it's a really good selling point of those fittings. And then the Yeelight product is actually a very cool product. It's basically a digital version of DALI, but it's not a DALI protocol. It's a Bluetooth mesh platform. And basically there's little Bluetooth hubs. Some people might be familiar with the Philips Hue range. That's a similar sort of setup to that. And it's the Yeelight Pro offering. So lots of different light fixtures and fittings that can work, in a standalone environment or can be integrated in control platforms like Control 4. We're launching a new relationship with SurgeX. We're going to be bringing in their power distribution units and also their UPS. We do know that our clients definitely want a UPS solution. We don't have one today, and SurgeX is a great partner of ours stateside. We're bringing on Netgear Pro AV. So we have a great relationship with Netgear, and again, leveraging that global company that we are to bring these products into market as well. Thor Technologies, long-time partner. Guys are just awesome people. I think anybody that's ever worked with the guys from Thor, basically will resoundingly agree with me on that one. So lovely to have those guys along. Specify.io, Matthew Booth and his quoting platform. Obviously, Alan Chow, the doctor. Everybody knows Alan. So, he and his products will be there. Integra, AVRs, again, they're all things that our customers need to do jobs, but more importantly, they're products that just aren't available to shop online and things like that. So rather than try and hold their knowledge and experience dear, rather than just giving stuff away at cheap prices because they're available on the internet. So
what are you hoping then? Because you've got a lot of brands going to be there, partner brands. You've got a lot of brands under the ADI umbrella as well.
Mm-hmm.
Running a lot of education. I know that we're also going to be presenting our CPD for architects there under the CEDIA banner as well. What are you hoping that dealers actually get out of this event? Is there one thing you want to take away, or is it really kind of horses for courses? I mean, what do you want to see as the outcome?
Look, I think all we can do as a business, and I've said this in many of my talks, is put our best foot forward to show people who we are and what we do. Myself and the business, we're honestly nothing more than a tool for integrators to deliver their solutions, right? I've always sort of said dealers need to sell their business, not the product. So to me, it's a privilege that people choose to work with us and choose to buy our products. And, whether they use our control platform or not, doesn't really matter. But if they're working with us, they're using what we do to help deliver their solution to their customers. So all we can really want and hope out of this is that we put our best foot forward, show our customers and potential customers who we are and what we do, and let them choose, where they want to do business, to be frank.
So we'll go now to Alan Chow from Chowmain. Alan, look, I'm sure that most of the people watching this and listening to this probably know you and know a little bit about Chowmain, but for those who haven't come across you before, let's just start with a bit about your background and what Chowmain is and what you offer to the market.
Sure. Chowmain is a software development company specializing in the integration of products and services into professionally installed home automation and control systems. We developed for a total of 9 different control system partners, including Control4, Crestron Home, Elan, Josh AI, which is new, RTI, QSYS, Savant, and URC. We work extremely closely with the guys at Snap One. Control4 is our biggest control system by far. We've actually got hundreds of drivers that we integrate. Half of the drivers are manufacturer sponsored and free of charge, and the other half are licensed, which they can purchase through our marketplace, Chowmain Software Marketplace, which we launched in August of 2024. And since then, we've signed up over 5,500 dealers.
So that's a significant number for what is still a relatively niche industry. So I'm guessing, how have you gone about getting your name out there, or is it really just because of what you're offering is so specifically niche to our industry that really for someone who is an integrator, they kind of need to be aware of what you're doing in order to actually do jobs effectively?
Yeah, I mean, the company is pretty straightforward. I mean, we offer solutions or to fill gaps, essentially. So a good example in Australia, we have several different HVAC brands that are prevalent in regions. Like if you look at Sydney, for example, in Sydney, Actron Air is a brand that's used, across Sydney, Whereas you look at other regions, such as like Queensland and WA, the brand over there will be Advantage Air that's used quite a lot. So we see these gaps in the market, and we kind of fill the gaps in to ensure that integrators have a solution for their customers. From there, it's, you know, we get the word out via word of mouth, via industry publications, via control system manufacturers such as Snap One, and just social media. So over the course of, you know, the past 12 years, which have been around, we've signed up numerous dealers, and we've become, I guess, the driving force for integration.
So you mentioned just a second ago that Control 4, which is obviously an ADI brand, that'd be your largest partner. So, I mean, how many drivers are we talking about, and how often do you actually release drivers for the Control 4 platform?
We release drivers pretty much at least once a month. In total, we've got over 240 Control 4 drivers, and 55% of those are manufacturer sponsored. So that's 98 of those drivers are 98 of them are manufacturer sponsored, and 142 are not sponsored. I think something like that, top of my head. I don't remember the stats, but yes. So we have a lot to fill gaps. I mean, in fact, at the show we're showcasing a few new drivers that we released quite recently that fill in some pretty big gaps in the market. The gaps are a lack of battery-operated wireless devices. So there used to be quite a few of those devices around, but unfortunately, due to acquisitions or companies have gone down, there's a lack of wireless sensor-based devices nowadays. As such, we'll be showcasing off our Philips Hue integration, which we released a few months ago, where we have battery-operated motion sensors and keypads. One of the cool things we're actually showing off during the roadshow is a battery-less wireless keypad, which operates using kinetic energy. So when you push the button, it harvests energy from the actual physical push to essentially power a capacitor and then send a Zigbee signal through the network, which is great because, you know, the one bad thing about these, wireless sensors are that, is changing the batteries essentially. So imagine if you didn't have to change a battery. So that's a cool thing that we'll be showing off during the roadshow. On top of that as well, we've also got a really cool Unify integration that we released towards the end of last year, where we've integrated things like Unify network products. We've integrated the Unify door access, like doorbells and intercoms and that sort of stuff. And lastly, we've also integrated the Unify Protect surveillance system. We're proud to say that we were the very first company to release an integration where we can view the history as well as the recordings through the Control 4 touchscreens and mobile applications. So that's a few of the cool things we'll be showcasing. We'll also be showcasing our upcoming Hikvision integration, which I can't talk much of because it hasn't been released yet, but that'll be coming out towards the end of this month. So we'll be talking about that as well.
And so in terms of who's going to be coming along to the roadshow, who are you really hoping to talk to? Is it the existing dealers to kind of explain to them what is new, or are you looking for new dealers? I mean, obviously 5,500 dealers on the books at the moment. You probably have one of the biggest databases in the industry. I mean, are there many people out there that you haven't met before that you're trying to get on the books?
There's always new dealers who haven't heard of us before and are new to the industry. So we're open. I mean, at the end of the day, if the integrator needs a third-party solution and we can offer it, and of course we're happy to have them on board. We get on average about 10 new dealer signups a day, and a lot of those dealers in the APAC region have already signed up, but we still get some new APAC dealers sign up. So I'm assuming a lot of these dealers, come through training. So I'm assuming Peter Wilson must train them up and slip our name in, and then they sign up, I'm assuming. But we'd love to talk to existing dealers and new dealers, because with existing dealers, they may not have heard of all of our solutions. As I mentioned, we've got hundreds of integrations out there, and some of these integrations they may not be utilizing, which may help them out in their projects.
Well, like I said just before we started recording, I'm going to be at all the different venues and likewise with yourself. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see, especially in some of the areas where not much is happening, to get a bit more attention from people to see how you could help them out and kind of the jobs that they're working on.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to catching up with everyone in person, talking about the solutions that we're offering. In fact, at every event, we'll be doing a half-hour session where we will stand in front to walk integrators through, what is Chowmain Marketplace? How do you sign up? How do you buy the drivers? What are some really cool drivers that you should be utilizing in your projects?
And is that going to be at a set time in each venue when you do your presentation?
I know that Joe is releasing a schedule. I'm not sure exactly what time slots we have, but pretty much in every city you will have a half-hour slot where we can, we'll present what we're doing and what the marketplace is all about. So Joe will release that schedule. So make sure you sign up, and we'll see you at the show.
So up next, talking to Callan Ferreira from CoolAutomation. Callan, welcome to the show.
Hi, hey Paul. Thanks very much for having us.
No worries. So tell us a little bit about CoolAutomation and your story to get where you are today.
So I'll start with myself. So I've always been in the air conditioning industry. I worked for Daikin Air Conditioning for many years, and then I moved into different companies, but always more in line with the controls sector of air conditioning. And then 3 years ago, I found myself at CoolAutomation, and it was a little bit of a game changer for me because I wasn't aware of what they did before my time with them. And since joining them and learning about what they do, it's been a bit of an epiphany for me. So CoolAutomation are a company that founded a device or a range of devices that, in short, they make air conditioning smarter. So the world of air conditioning doesn't natively speak integration or automation, and CoolAutomation basically provides the gateway between air conditioning and automation.
So how much does an integrator need to know then about HVAC in order to actually deploy a CoolAutomation system?
Fortunately, they've got me, so they have to know absolutely nothing. They simply need to know my email address and my phone number and ask the question, which is generally the case for most, specifically Control4 guys, but other platforms of automation as well. So they simply need to know what air conditioning system is being used on the site or on the project and give us the details. And then I do all the selections for them and give them the in-depth, obviously, installation guidelines as to how to make it happen. So to answer your question, what do they need to know? My email address. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, your email address and a model number by the sound of it. And
yeah, exactly. Just some very basic air conditioning equipment details. And then I join the dots for them from there.
So does that mean that the system that you send back to them, that's already able to talk to their C4 system, or they don't need to do any other programming? It's good to go.
Yeah, so the benefit of CoolAutomation devices is that they're actually universally branded. So if the integrator comes across a project that has got Daikin on it, for example, or Daikin VRV to be specific, and at the 11th hour, something changes, the same device and is actually capable of integrating another brand. So they're going ahead with the project, it's Daikin, and then at the 11th hour, it becomes Mitsubishi, for example. We've already sent them the device. They're on site with it. They don't need to really do any changes. There's no hardware changes. It's a simple toggle of a setting on the actual device, and all of a sudden it becomes Mitsubishi capable. So that's the real benefit of CoolAutomation product, is that it's not actually brand specific. It's universally branded. So, and then the same sort of concept applies to the type of air conditioning. So when I say the type of air conditioning, it's not the brand, but it could be VRV, it could be a standalone system, a split unit, for example. So depending on what type of air conditioning would dictate which product we use, but the product itself is universally branded.
So how much control can an integrator actually take over an HVAC system with CoolAutomation, is it just temperature settings, or are there other things that they can do?
So any control, it's a little bit of a complex question to answer, but VRV, for example, which is where you've got one outdoor, multiple indoors, is it's your smartest form of air conditioning. And we can do a lot more with that, because when we connect into a VRV system, we're actually connecting into the central comms bus of the system. So we not only get control parameters, but we get in-depth service diagnostics and monitoring. So you can do everything pretty much with a VRV system. When it comes to standalone systems, i.e. your split systems or your ducteds or your cassettes, there we simply replicate the manufacturer's local controller. So anything that the local controller from Daikin or Mitsubishi or Fujitsu can do, which is all of the normal functionalities, your modes, your fan speeds, your set points, etc., we can replicate that and then transfer it over into the likes of Control 4.
Okay, so when they then come back to you to say, we have a Daikin air conditioning system, for example, and they say, we want to set this up so it works with our C4 system, how much more info do you need in terms of what they want it to do? So if this is a VRV system, for example, do they need to say, we want to do this, this, and this, or will you just automatically upload all features into every system that you do?
Correct. So we don't need to know what feature set they want. We simply need to know what air conditioning system they have in terms of, as I said before, VRV or splits or ducted, so we can select the correct device, and then we give them all functionality after that. So we don't need to know what they're specifically wanting to do. We just give them access to everything, and then they can choose their own adventure after that.
So I guess with the ADI Roadshow coming up, and obviously CoolAutomation is going to be there, what can punters expect to see at the actual event?
So we'll have product on display, powered up and live, actual devices, which will be replicating as if they're connected to an actual air conditioning system. So they'll be able to see the device, play with the commissioning settings or the field settings or whatever you want to call them on the actual device. They'll see the different range of products as well in terms of their physical size and how they get installed. And then obviously I'll be there as well to answer any questions that they might have, because every day is different in the world of an integrator, and you come across different projects with different sets of equipment. And sometimes it can be tricky for an integrator who's not an air conditioning specific person, and they don't necessarily understand the world of air conditioning very well. So they'll get to meet me, they'll get to have a chat, they'll get to talk about their commonly experienced equipment sets that they find on projects. I can talk to them, give them a basic rundown of each device, what it does and how it gets installed. And then hopefully they can find their way forward and start sort of experiencing the product, I guess.
Okay, so given that we get about 9,000 or 10,000 people watching this, and they'll be watching it in the lead up to the roadshow, are there common questions that you do get asked? And maybe let's use this platform to kind of get the answers out there so they can come to you with, the next step, I guess.
Are there common questions? So there are common sets of equipment on projects that we come across, which generally then lead to common questions. So can we do zone control on ducted systems? Because in Australia, our market is largely dominated by zone control ducted systems. So that's a very common question, is can we integrate the unit control as well as the damper control into the automation platform? The answer is yes. That's a very common question. The other very common question that we get is how the device actually connects to the unit. Because it's easy for me to say to somebody, oh yeah, you just directly connect this to this. And different devices, as I said before, they connect to either the central comms bus or the local control bus. And it's very commonly asked, well, how do we actually connect this to the system? So I can run them through that, which is great for them because it's actually very, very simple in terms of plug and play. You get the device and you simply plug it in to the unit, and different units have got different terminals. So you simply grab the little cable that the device comes with, plugs directly into the indoor unit, job done.
Okay. And so, like I said, we've got 10,000 odd people listening to this. There won't be 10,000 at the Roadshow specifically, but for the people who can't make it, where can they find out more, and how do they actually get in touch with you? Because they might have just heard your answer there and gone, okay, that's the exact situation that I'm in. Let's keep talking.
So the best way to do that is, obviously I'm the local sales contact for CoolAutomation in Australia and New Zealand. You feel free to put my email address or my phone number in a snap of this video, but it's callan@coolautomation.com. I'm happy for anyone to contact me. I get contacted all day, every day by different dealers for different automation products around the world, around the country at least, asking these questions that we've been discussing. This is the air conditioning system we got. This is what the automation platform is that we're trying to link it up to. How do we do that? I'm more than happy to take anyone through the process for their first time, hold their hand from start to finish. If you're looking for a one-stop universal product that will integrate your air conditioning into your automation, by all means, get in touch, because you've come to the right place.
One thing I should check too, because obviously I know this is the ADI Roadshow that we're talking about, and that is C4, but does CoolAutomation talk to other control systems as well, or is it really partnered with C4?
No, so the drivers for Control 4 are natively inbuilt. They certified drivers. They're natively inbuilt into the devices, which is why we are the weapon of choice in terms of Control 4. But the same rule applies to pretty much all the different automation products out there, the platforms, at least the Crestron homes, the free at home from ABB. There isn't one that I've come across that we don't communicate with and provide the gateway with native drivers inbuilt into it. Lutron, for example, CBus. The same applies to BMS companies, So if it's not a residential home automation project, but it's a commercial BMS project, and they're speaking either BACnet or Modbus, for example, our devices are a BACnet gateway. They are a Modbus interface. So whether the client might be, or the integrator might be using it on a residential project to start with, but he also might have a commercial division of his business that does need to do something different in terms of its integration, we can do that too. So it's a very versatile product in that it's the same device that does so many different things.
Well, I'm looking forward to actually seeing you all around the country and in New Zealand. So yeah, I'll be sure to pass. I'm acting like Exactly. I'm talking like I've not seen the product before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I was going to say, you're asking me all these questions, but you know the answers to these already. We've spent so much time around each other.
That's it. People are sick of hearing me talking.
Yeah, well, I've got a face for radio, so thanks for breaking that mold.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for joining me. It'll be good to see you out there.
No, thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to the roadshows with Control 4, and I'm very, very grateful for the fact that they've included us as an exhibitor on their stand. So looking forward to catching up with the team and yourself, and I appreciate your time.
For more than 20 years, Connected Magazine has been the leading voice for the Australian AV and custom integration industry, and it continues to hold that position today. Commercial and residential integrators can head to Connected Magazine or connectedmag.com.au for the latest news, new products, and deeper insight into where the industry is heading. To learn more, head to the website. The link is in this episode's description, or have a chat with the team next time you see them at a trade show or local event. We're now going to head over to Richard O'Carroll from Sonos. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul. Thank you.
So let's jump straight into it. I would imagine that most of the people listening to this will be very, very familiar with Sonos, but in case there's one or two listening that have never heard of it for some reason, can you give us a little bit of a story about what Sonos is and where you sit in the market?
Yeah. So Sonos, I think most people know, is the originator of wireless multi-room systems. If memory serves, back in 2002, 2003, we hit the market with a couple of products that today resemble the port and amp, as well as a controller that we had. And that kind of revolutionized the way that people were approaching multi-room audio. It greatly simplified things. And I loved the original tagline, which was pick a song, pick a room, press play. That was, for me, the essence of Sonos, and still holds true today.
It's definitely Yeah, like you said, as the originator of the category, it's been a long journey, I guess, for Sonos. It still seems like a young brand, but really the market's been around for a while. So how have you seen the market as well as the product kind of evolve over the time that it has been in existence?
I think what we've seen is the market bending towards us in a manner of speaking. If you remember when we hit the market back in 2005 with those early products, there were actually no music streaming services. There was also no iPhone. Um, I think it's easy to take for granted the fact that very quickly we have something like 30 or 40 music services in Australia and New Zealand alone, something like 180 worldwide, providing for up to 40, 50 million tracks for just a few dollars a month. These things didn't exist when we started. They've played into the kind of world that we imagined when we started Sonos. Likewise, the way people live with music and the way people approach the playback of music, given that everything now in terms of control is centralized mostly on a phone for a lot of people, this sort of technology, as well as the superabundance of streaming music services, means that nothing is inaccessible anymore. Everything is easy for people to get, and Sonos just makes that accessibility come to life in the home, and of late, more and more, the commercial spaces that we're going into.
So how has the role of the integrator evolved alongside this? Because I know you've got some particularly newer products that are very integrator centric. So I'm wondering, how is your, I guess, relationship with integrators changed, and to make sure that you are kind of front of mind with them?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. The role of the integrator when I started in this industry was very much I refer to it as the white jacket service. They were the holders, the gatekeepers of technology, and the holders of secrets. I believe that world is very much behind us now, and Sonos is largely responsible for that. When we brought our products to market, and particularly when you think of things like the Play 5, the Play 3, the Play 1 and onwards, we essentially democratized access to music and multi-room audio. That's a double-edged sword, and I'm more than happy to acknowledge that the integrator's role has been changed largely by virtue of our presence in the market. But I still think that there's an incredible opportunity to work with Sonos. There's always going to be the do-it-for-me customer, and we will service both the do-it-yourself customer and the do-it-for-me customer. And we see more and more customers who are looking for customized solutions. They're looking for ways to integrate audio, be it home theater, multi-room audio, in their home and outside their home, in their businesses, in ways that potentially are not manageable by the individual just picking the box up at a consumer electronics store and taking it home. So we still rely really heavily on the integrator to provide those solutions. And you'll note the Era 100 Pro that was released recently. The reason for these sorts of products, and we could talk about Amp Multi as well, is that we're a residential product. That was what the product was designed for. That was the original intent of the product. And it has been pulled into these commercial spaces. So as it relates to the integrator and their role within our channel strategy, Era 100 Pro gives them a perfect tool that they can then go to light commercial spaces with to ensure that the customer gets ease of use and access to music, those values that are core to our residential offering, but also reliability, a wide connection using PoE that gives you absolutely reliable, rock solid music. And that requires an integration service.
Okay. Well, first of all, just as a quick aside, I do want to say thank you for not using the word resi-commercial. It's a terrible word. It should be abolished from our industry. So light commercial, excellent.
Yep.
So I guess, how has your relationship then with ADI played a role in this, and how has that then fostered your relationship with integrators or improved the relationship with integrators?
Yeah. So we've got two distributors that work with us in Australia and New Zealand. And Snap ADI gives us access to specialist integrators and a do-it-for-me market, that phrase that I used before, that is deep and broad across Australia and New Zealand. And Snap have proven to be a remarkable partner both in that light commercial and residential space for the do-it-for-me customer.
And so obviously with the ADI Roadshow coming up, you've obviously mentioned the Era 100 Pro, and you just briefly mentioned the Amp Multi. Will you have both of those there at the show? Are people actually able to get their hands on it to have a look?
Yeah, the Era 100 Pro most definitely, and I'm fairly certain the Amp Multi will be there. I'm not sure in what sort of setup or configuration it will appear, but it should be on display. We want integrators to be able to look at the back panel and really just determine exactly how they're going to work with it and what kind of opportunities it unlocks. So yes, you could expect to see both those products on display.
And for the people who might not be familiar with it or might not be able to make it, just a little bit about Amp Multi. Do you want to give us the kind of the overview of what that is and really what the opportunity here is for integrators?
Yeah. So Amp Multi does for integrators in the commercial and large-scale residential space what Amp has done for well over a decade now, 7 years in the current iteration. But it does it in an expanded way, and it does it in a greatly more flexible and configurable way. So Amp Multi, instead of being just a 2-channel single-zone device like our current amp, is an 8-channel 4-zone device. It's a 4-zone device in a single chassis. That's going to simplify installations for both commercial and residential. It's going to give the ability for the installer to do a great deal more configuration. So the use of mono channels, the use of combined zones, zoning to actually bond outputs so that you can end up with a single volume slider, as an example, operating at all 4 zones. And of course, the ability to stack Amp Multi and just go as far as you want to with multi-room audio. So all of the benefits and features that most people are accustomed to with Sonos, and again, I keep using that phrase, access to music, ease of use, etc., but just in a configurable, flexible chassis, 125 watts per channel into 8 ohms, all of the usual speeds and feeds, access to all the music services, controllable on the phone, but now with an equalizer, a 10-band parametric EQ, which is going to give the integrator the ability to optimize the audio of Amp Multi and the speakers that it's connected to in any acoustic environment they choose to install.
And so this and the Era 100 Pro, they're both shipping now?
No, the Era 100 Pro is. We launched that late last year, and that's generally available. We announced Amp Multi several months ago, and we're currently looking at exactly when that's going to become generally available. There are certainly demonstration units in the country. I have some here, and they will be at the Roadshow, but we haven't settled on what we call a GA or a general availability date as yet.
Okay, so really the attendees at the ADI Roadshow then are going to be getting the first look at the actual physical product then before anyone else? Yeah,
one of the first looks, and we absolutely do this intentionally. I should say we anticipate GA, general availability, being this calendar year, but we want integrators to have a long ramp. We want them to know the product, see the product, and be comfortable with it. We want them to be able to specify the product into quotations and jobs that they're considering, and give them time to come to terms with the technology so that they're comfortable integrating it with their other products that they use.
Well, I mean, I for one am actually really excited to see it, and I always like looking at things before everyone else. So are you going to be there personally at all the roadshow destinations?
I won't be, unfortunately. My role has changed somewhat in Sonos. I look after the install solutions part of the business, the part of the business that you and I are discussing today, but for APAC more generally. So that includes Australia and New Zealand, but also places like India, China, Japan, Southeast Asia. Paul, you mentioned the look and feel of these things and just playing with them. By the way, when you see, and to anyone listening to this, when you see Amp Multi, have a look at the back panel and think about how it is that you're going to be adjusting and playing with this product, and have a look at the flatness of that back panel. I know it sounds like an incredibly nerdy thing to say, but this product can be sat on its rear and it can be adjusted, and you're going to find it very user-friendly when you actually unpack it.
So you say nerdy, but I just see that as the exact reason why our industry exists, because that's the stuff that we get very interested in is those kind of functionalities that most end users wouldn't really care about.
Yep. Yeah, flexibility, usability, ease of use. Gee, those sorts of things never get old. And I say it's nerdy, but I think people are going to love Amp Multi in the way that it works and the way that it literally sits in your hands when you're manipulating. It's a thing of beauty.
Well, I'm going to leave it there and move on to the next partner for the roadshow. But thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, really, really interested to see everything in person, which I think by the time this comes out, we're talking within a week for the Adelaide show. So it's coming up very soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Sonos. Appreciate it, Paul.
So we'll head now over to David McKinney from Generation AV, who represents LEA and SurgeX. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you.
So let's start with a bit about what your role is in the industry. Tell us about your company, and also then tell us a little bit about your relationship with ADI.
Yeah. So I'm based over in Singapore. Started Generation AV about 7 years ago. We're effectively the Asia office for the brands that we partner with, and we really support a lot of our distributors in every country in Asia across the region. With ADI and Snap, they're our distributor for LEA and also for SurgeX in Australia and New Zealand, really focusing on residential and the light commercial markets. And yeah, very excited to be working with them and really excited about the upcoming tour. At Generation AV, we're based in Singapore. We've got offices in India. We really do a lot of the sales, the training, the supporting partners on project designs, troubleshooting if there's little issues or things like that. But really, really work closely and partner closely with them within the region in each country.
So let's have a look at some of the I guess the systems and solutions that you actually supply. So if there are people listening to this who might not be familiar with LEA or SurgeX, what exactly do you offer in terms of the categories that you work?
Yeah, sure. So LEA is effectively cloud-based network DSP amplifier solutions. So effectively what all that is we're able to network different amplifiers together. So think about multi-room audio type applications around the home. You want to be able to send audio from one room to the next room or stream it around the house. You can do that with LEA. If you're looking for amplification in a certain area, we can do that with LEA. You're looking at speaker presets for each of the different, maybe it's triad or episode loudspeakers. You can do all of that in LEA. And some of the cool features you've got with the cloud enables you to be able to troubleshoot solutions without actually having to go to the home or the venue where the products are installed. Really super easy to be able to set up. It's all web browser based technology. Super easy to be able to connect and program the system in a very short space of time. With SurgeX is really a mixture of two different types of product categories that we look at. One is the power protection side. So it protects the products in a rack. So should you get a surge in power or fluctuating voltages or maybe even a lightning strike or things like that, we protect the products in the rack to ensure no matter what happens, maybe that product gets hurt with SurgeX, but it takes the power and takes the hurt and basically protects everything in the rack. The second part is really the smart power management side of things. And on the smart power management side, again, we talk about the cloud and the Cloud Connect side. And it's being able to remotely control, monitor all of your the power going to all of the products in the rack. So we're able to remotely turn on and turn off a rack. So if you've got a SurgeX installed in the home, and maybe you've got a display that's frozen or something like that, and literally all you need to do is turn it off and turn it on again. Well, we can do that over SurgeX from your phone and stuff. Just connect to the cloud and off you go. So again, multiple different features in there, from sequencing to power protection, to be able to scheduling different activities to be able to happen to conserve power. So it's not only about being able to access your power, it's also about being able to conserve energy. And so, whenever you're looking at the energy efficiency side and being able to reduce electricity bills, a hot topic and becoming an even bigger hot topic these days, these are the sort of solutions that we can do with SurgeX to be able to manage that. So that's a little snapshot of LEA and SurgeX.
I think it's quite interesting because, in the background of the industry, there's a few people who are very, very aware of, filtration and power management because they've had bad experiences. And I look at this running a podcast. I have AV recording equipment that I know that I need to protect. And then I also am very aware that we have a lot of people from India and Indonesia watching this, and power quality is a serious issue, particularly in markets there. So it's, I think, quite timely what you're talking about, which is quite good to see.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. If anyone's had a product fail because of an electric issue, it's top of their mind. It's the most important thing they're putting into their installation, because they've had the bad experience before. And unfortunately, a lot of people overlook that part, or have overlooked that in the past on the protection side, maybe because power's been okay, or it shouldn't happen to me. But so there's definitely the security side of things, of being able to make sure that you're protected on your products from any problems. But I think driving this now is more the topic of mind, that is how to control your power. If I want to turn my racks off at nighttime and turn them back on in the morning time, well, I can do that with SurgeX. If I want to realize that basically it's not actually using, and I could look at the cloud analytics, and the system integrator can look at that and say, actually, you're really actually not even using your system on these times during the day. How about we turn your racks off? You're going to save a lot of cost really within your system as well. So these types of activities are driving our business, and we're seeing quite a significant interest from that side. So, but yes, it's becoming a bigger topic. Even in, we find that, even in Australia, you can get voltages that can go a little bit higher in different areas. Same in the UK. In different parts of the UK, you can get it going there. So in different parts of the world, even in fully developed countries, you can still have a lot of power issues and things that can happen too. So, but yeah, certainly talking to India, Indonesia, that listen to your podcast as well, I think looking at that, definitely it's a problem solver. It means that you can put products in there, and you're not guessing whether you've got a product issue from an electrical issue or not. It's just those issues, they just go away, which is really good.
It's interesting you bring up the financial implication of either load shedding or power management, because I can guarantee there was a few people who heard that just then in the podcast, and they would have scoffed and rolled their eyes, because it's a conversation I have with them all the time. But I keep pointing out to them, if you're dealing with multi-millionaire and billionaire clients, they don't care about saving a few dollars. But integration, automation now, it's very much in the mass market. It's in the mainstream, and that audience does care. So they need to learn to adjust their sales pitch or how they think about power management, because it can actually be quite a lucrative option for integrators.
Oh, it really can. And, we've gone through the exercise of just looking at standard electricity rates and stuff. And, and you can look at what you're paying for energy consumption. And so if you're putting it into a commercial application, totally, it's a big consideration. If you're running lots of lights and audio and display, and, you're running a lot of different technology within your commercial environment, then it definitely will have an impact. So yeah, I think it's becoming a bigger and bigger consideration all the time. And I think also there's a following and group of customers that definitely will want to be doing the right things with the environment, and those sort of things can, well, if anything, you're doing your part too, which is good.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. So tell me what you're going to be having at the Roadshow. What will LEA and SurgeX have on show, and what can people expect to see?
Yeah, well, you're going to be able to see, you're able to touch the products, see everything in the flesh. We'll have our LEA half rack and full rack amps. We'll have the CS Touch controller. We'll be able to do demonstrations in the software, whether it's just a web browser, whether it's the cloud, or Sharkware software as well, which gives you much more of an offline system to set up your, if you want to program up your system before you even go to site and get it all done, and you just walk in and plug in and go. Sharkware is the type of product, it's a software solution that you can use with LEA to make your job easier as well. So it's really, we're going to be showing the system integrator tools. What's going to solve problems for the system integrator? How can you make your job easier on site? How do you spend less time on site setting up the system, to be able to do take on more jobs, do more jobs, and manage the time side as well. So definitely expect to see the half rack, full rack series, and the CS Touch and some demonstrations there. On SurgeX, we'll be really focusing on Squid. We'll also have our vertical series and our display packs. But effectively, we'll be demonstrating the software. And because really the power behind everything, it's, we've got black boxes that, you plug into, but everything's now is software that we'll be showing and demonstrating, because that's where the flexibility and the power is behind the product. So expect to see our SurgeX Connect software and the cloud-based solution to be able to show you how you can remotely control it, how you can program up, how you could schedule something, to be able to turn things on and turn things off at certain times. So we'll be showing all of that and demonstrating that.
And really all you can ask for the listeners and attendees is to really go on with an open mind. If you haven't thought about, power management before, this is something that they can actually learn quite a lot about at the show and learn from your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if anything, I'd love to have a chat, love to be able to discuss it. We can share different ideas, can share what you do on your projects today, and we can give you different ideas of how you can do things with SurgeX and LEA. But yeah, definitely, I really look forward to being part of the Roadshow. It'll be me or one of my team will be there, hopefully in as many dates as we possibly can. And really look forward to meeting as many customers as we can over the several weeks. So it should be good.
No, well, I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. Now that
I look forward to it too.
We've started a beautiful relationship online.
Indeed. No, I look forward to it as well. That'll be fantastic.
Joining me now is Shane Reed from Thor Technologies. Shane, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
No worries. Let's get straight into it. For the people who are listening to this, they might not be familiar with Thor. I mean, imagine a lot of people, especially the ones in Australia, will be very familiar, but we go to a lot of people outside Australia as well. But for those who aren't familiar with Thor Technologies, give us a little bit of a background in what you actually do.
Okay. So we are an Australian company. This year actually is our 25th year anniversary in the market. We've been doing it since 2001. And basically all we do is power protection and filtration products. And that in different form factors, rack mount, DIN rail mount, boards, all that sort of stuff. And that is all we do. That's all we focused on for 25 years. So we're pretty good at it.
How has what you've done over the past 25 years, how has it changed and evolved in terms of what you're offering, but also the technology as well?
Look, I mean, the one thing about power actually is power hasn't really changed a lot in 20 years. I mean, the principles of power are very much the same, but what has changed is the amount of devices we plug in now. So, I was reading somewhere that by 2030, I think they said we have about 46 devices plugged into power in the house at any point in time. 10 years ago, that number was more like 25. So with all those things, all those products in your house, actually a lot of them create a lot of issues, especially your big robust machines like washers and dryers. They create a lot of issues that your more sensitive equipment, like your home theater, your hi-fi gear, your automation systems, are susceptible to. So, I mean, really what we do is constantly improve our protection. I mean, we're on to a new version of protection now called the Prodigy technology. So that's in our premium range. And basically we haven't been able to make it fail. We haven't been able to blow it up. So it's out in the market now, and we haven't had a single unit back that's failed to do its job. So in 20 years, that's sort of where our protection's gone to a point of being really, really strong. And then the other aspect is filtration, and that's the one that improves performance benefits. So that has improved greatly over the years. We're constantly working on that. We've got a team of engineers, and they are constantly fine-tuning, testing, checking, and then implementing into new versions or iterations of products. purely because of the amount of products in a house or office environment. They all create their own little amounts of noise. And so we've had to make stronger, more robust filters in order to clean that up.
So to have no returns is kind of unheard of. That's pretty insane in the market, especially when we're dealing with technology. I mean, technology fails. So I mean, how long does it take then, and how much testing do you do before you even put something to market to make sure that it is bulletproof? Because I imagine that's an extensive process.
It's tested a lot. I mean, I have 2, almost 3 engineers at the office, and all they're working on is products. You know, we don't have, we have a complete lineup, but at the end of the day, it's still only 50 to 60 SKUs, and they all use fairly common technologies. So the guys are very focused on protection and filtration. So constantly test, constantly improved. And when we do a new model, I mean, obviously the Prodigy tech was an entirely new technology, so we made a new range out of it. But if we then improve the filtration on, say, the Prodigy board, the next time we do a run at a factory, we just put those modifications in and we make it better. So it takes, I mean, we can get stuff to market quick, but it can take 12 to 18 months beforehand, you know, really making sure everything's good. I'll give you an example, like the ripple filters, for example. So over there in Victoria, New South Wales, you guys have a lot of issues with the ripple, which is the injected frequency on the back of the power. I'm sure you're aware. That was years and years of testing, because that is such a specific problem with its own factors that have to be considered. That took years and years of testing, and then another 6 to 12 months of field testing before we were happy to let that product go. So yeah, it takes a little bit, but yeah, you're right. We have not had a Prodigy board fail on the protection aspects so far, and the Prodigy circuit's been in. Well, actually, we had the Prodigy, a variation of the Prodigy circuit in the market for a while, and that was in our STV IQs. But then we've refined it, made it better, made it stronger, and now it's in some of our more mainstream 8-way boards and rack mount units and stuff like that. And yeah, we have not had one fail to not protect someone's equipment to date. So,
wow, that's kind of crazy to think about. Just kind of putting into the context of the industry. But obviously, this episode we're talking about the upcoming ADI Roadshow. Thor Technologies will definitely be there. Yep. I think one thing that most people, especially ADI dealers, one thing that I've noticed is that there seems to be a very, very tight relationship between Thor and the team at ADI and Snap before that. How important has that relationship been to Thor in helping you grow and cement your position?
Very important. So yeah, ADI, Snap One have been a partner with us now for 4 years, maybe even 5 years. And obviously they have a lot of customers. You know, they have pretty much everyone who does this stuff has an ADI or a Snap One account, mostly. And so it's allowed us to really get the name and the brand out there even more. Although a lot of people were aware of our products, there's still a lot of people that aren't. And so these sorts of road shows and things like that are great, because we just put a few things on display, we do a bit of testing, and we can show people some real world results with some of the meters and stuff that we have there. So look, it's been a strong relationship, and is still a strong relationship, and very crucial to us.
So obviously we're talking about the roadshow. You mentioned there you'll have a few products. What can delegates actually expect to see?
Okay, so look, we'll have some boards on display. The new Prodigy Tech boards will be there, although a lot of the guys have seen them, but maybe not everyone. And we'll have a smart scope there. So we created a device that can actually measure the amount of noise in a circuit. And then after you plug a board in, you can then see how much noise that board removed from the circuit. So yeah, that one took about 2 years for us to engineer as well, because there was other options on the market, but the ones on the market, I mean, they've all been pulled off the market now, but they were very, the results weren't overly accurate and they weren't overly precise. The model we built now is 30 times more precise than any other model that was on the market when we started this. So we can actually demonstrate to people, this is a noisy power, and then you plug the board in, and now you can see how much noise is gone, and you reduce the noise, you reduce your issues. So you will expect to see that on display. We'll have some rack mount units there. We usually keep a good complement of all our products, and we have some of it working so people can have a look at it, have a play with it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Paul, it's power boards and power rails and stuff. So you can't, it's not like, hey, check out this picture, check out the sound. It's just, this is it. This is what it does. And let us show you the results it can give you.
So this episode, it's going to be coming out just before the first Roadshow event in Adelaide. So I guess, is there anything that integrators and delegates can do before they come and speak to you about maybe researching the product or finding out some more information?
So look, we've actually just put some big works into our website. Our website's actually really special now. And so if they want to find out more about us, I mean, obviously you can always talk to a Thor rep. We're all around. We've got one in most states. But you can actually go to the website and it'll actually take you on a little journey now through the types of filtration and maybe the problems you're having, and then how you would go about rectifying those problems. It's a real story. So the website's probably a great place to start. And then, come by the ADI Roadshow and we can run you through anything you need. We're always out and about, Paul, so we're happy to talk to people. If someone wants to call us, we're not hard to reach.
Well, I find that during this episode, I keep telling people that I'm looking forward to seeing what they have on show, as if I haven't actually seen the product before, I haven't played with it. But I'm just going to be happy to actually see you in person again. How about that?
Yeah, it'd be good to catch up with you, Paul. It'd be good, and it's going to be great to catch up with all the dealers. I really enjoy the ADI road shows. I find most of the dealers are very good, interested, and it's just a great event. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be at a couple of the locations as well, so it'll be good.
So we'll now head over to Yi from Dendo. Yi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
So for the audience here who might not be too familiar with Dendo, because I think from memory you're fairly new into the industry, or at least onto the smart home side. So can you give us a bit of a background about yourself, but also Dendo Systems?
Right. So we are new in the sense that for the custom integration market, is that what you guys call it? Yeah. So for the CI market, we are new, but we have actually been making motors for blinds for a long time. And then, through various experiences and building up our knowledge of how motors should work and how the industry works, we found there was quite a big gap in the automation market or the integration market, because there really hasn't been a proper solution that makes it all work together in a coherent manner. So I don't know how many of your listeners know about Lutron in the States, and they have this really robust and really integrated system, but theirs is closed. And so far, no one else has really brought a comparable or competitive offering that can actually compete with Lutron. And that's kind of where we stand right now to try to be the option in that part of the market.
And so how did you start working with the team at ADI, and what does that relationship actually look like?
Good question. So it was from Integrate last year where we first met up with the team at ADI. And obviously we brought to integrate our PoE blinds motor, and it's not something that people have seen. And it piqued the interest of a few guys over at ADI, namely Joe and Adam, and the conversation started from there.
And so now heading into the Roadshow, I assume you're going to be at all of the locations across Australia and New Zealand as well?
So I will try to be there personally for all of them, but regardless, our product will definitely be there.
So tell me a bit about what product you're going to be showing there and what can people expect to see?
Yeah, so mainly our product focus right now is our recently Control4 certified Renkai PoE motor for blinds. So we'll be showing a motor for roll blinds as well as a motor for the drapery system, curtain system. They all work off the same API and same driver. So it's all basically plug and play. The device just shows up inside Composer, double click to add to the project. It takes like 5-10 seconds to integrate.
And so is this then, by the sound of it, a product that pretty much any integrator could pick up and really kind of factor into any of their jobs? Or are you targeting specific integrators with specific skill sets?
Well, first and foremost, since it's Control4 certified, it really plays into the Control4 workflow perfectly. So we are, looking to add support to other platforms later on, but at this moment, the easiest and best platform to use it with is Control4.
And so, I guess looking at events like the ADI Roadshow, what is it going to ultimately give to your company then? So obviously there's a benefit for integrators to talk to you, but how do you see this helping Dendo Systems in the market?
One of the core challenges really with blinds and curtains is the fact that it's a custom product. And it's not something that integrators can just buy off the shelf like a lot of other things. So one of our main goals, because this is like uncharted territory for us as well as for the industry, is to just talk to integrators to see how they want to work with blinds, whether it is they find their own blinds supplier to then work with us. Because the motor by itself isn't the product. You need to put it into a blind or a curtain. And one of the main goals will be to figure out how that works for most people or for most integrators, and then form a program around that. But also, obviously, to get some feedback to see the response and to just get our brand out there, because we are offering something unique.
And is the ultimate goal then to become really a one-stop shop for integrators when anything to do with shading and blinds?
Yeah, the long-term vision, our motto is kind of designed for integration. So our goal will be eventually to say we are the easiest platform to work with when it comes to blinds and curtains.
In the lead up to the road shows, this is going to come out a couple of weeks before the first one in Adelaide. Is there a way then that people can get in touch with you before that, or kind of find out more about what you're doing and following what you're doing?
Yeah, so obviously we have a website. They can visit us on dendosystems.com, no AU. So there's a dendo.com.au, which is a different kind of business. It's our DIY site, but dendosystems.com is the trade site for integrators.
All right. Well, I think it sounds absolutely fascinating what you're doing. I think it should be quite different to everything else that's there at the show. So hopefully you get a lot of people coming up and having that conversation with you about what you can do to help their business.
Thanks, Paul. And that's a point. As an Australian company, we're proud in the fact that we're very unique in that we actually engineer and design everything. We're not just importing a product and trying to sell it, but this is an properly Australian engineered product that's actually what we think or what we believe will be class leading going forwards. And we are really excited to present this product to the industry.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone watching and listening this makes sure that they take the time to come past and actually have a chat to you. I know I had a quick look at what you were doing at last year's Tech Summit. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the broader market actually responds, because shading in general, especially in Australia, it is such an important part of lighting control, but also sustainability. It has definitely taken a back seat in the industry for a long time. So it'll be quite interesting to see how people run with what you're offering.
For sure. We look forward to it.
And that is a wrap on our ADI Expo preview. It was a big episode. a lot of people, a lot of ground covered. And I want to say a genuine thank you to everyone who jumped on and gave up their time. The thing that struck me putting this episode together is just how much is happening across these brands right now. There's a lot of new product, a lot of new thinking, and honestly, the best way to see all of it in one room with the actual people behind it is at the expo itself. You're not going to get that from a brochure or a Zoom call. There's nothing quite like putting your hands on a piece of gear or having a conversation with someone who can actually answer all of your technical questions on the spot. It's free to walk through the door. The training has limited spots, so if that's on your radar, get in quick. All of the registration links and tour dates are in the show notes. Now, I mentioned that I'll also be at the expo. I'll be there in my CEDIA capacity, and I've got a couple of things worth knowing about. First, there are some updates on the apprenticeship program that I'll be sharing on the floor. It's good news for anyone who's thinking about bringing new talent into their business. Second, CEDIA has just launched the new Integrator Advantage Program for Australia and New Zealand, and I'll have the details on what that means for you and your business, but it's serious discounts for people who are members of CEDIA. And if you're not currently a CEDIA member and you've been thinking about joining, come and find me, because there'll be a special offer for new members who sign up on site at the expo. While you're at it, come and talk to me about the podcast. I want to hear your stories. If you've been thinking about asking to be a guest, if you've just got something going on in your business that the industry needs to know about, or if you just want to put a face to the voice, come and say hello. Adelaide kicks off on the 5th of May, then Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland through to late July. Thanks for listening to Master Integrator. I'm Paul Skelton. I'll see you next time.